Hi, welcome to 3ETV. My name is Margaret Sass, and we are going to be discussing something that's very important to me, and it's called the Thrill of Thrift Fashion Show. And these two lovely ladies were participating with me, thank goodness, because that's why it was so successful last time. So I'm first going to talk to Mara. And Mara, can you tell me a little bit first about your background, and then we'll go into the fashion show a little bit, okay?
Okay, so I'm Mara Barbosa. I'm a PhD student in Spanish linguistics, and the fashion show was super interesting for me because it also involves my research population, which are Spanish-speaking immigrants in the United States, and that's the population that's part of the population we were aiming at with the fashion show. And that's why I was so interested in it.
And you also work here at Purdue as well,
I
right?
work here at Purdue. I'm a teaching assistant, and I work with Professor Margaret Sass and service learning at the CIE. And yes.
You're a busy lady.
I'm very busy.
Ali, so I know you have a different role in the Thrill of Thrift fashion show, but can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing at Purdue?
Yes, so my name is Alejandra Carrillo Munoz, and my background is actually in fashion design, so this is also a project that's near my heart as well. I'm a Master's of Fine Arts at Purdue and the Department of Electronic and Time-Based Media, and also a teaching assistant at CIE, where I also work with Dr. Sass. And so my role for the fashion show was in conducting a service learning project that was composed of extending out into the community to my former high school, actually, so Jefferson High School. And I worked with an instructor that I had when I was there as well in the art and design department. And so we recruited girls that were interested in the project that were also willing to go to Lara and engage with that community. And so I'll talk more about that. But I managed and kind of coordinated the workshops with the girls and the high school.
Yes, so both of them were involved among a lot of other people in the fashion show. So let me give you a little bit of information regarding the fashion show. So this is a fashion show that was actually going to be focused on LARA, which is the Lafayette Resource Academy. And as Mara has mentioned, really focus on individuals trying to have a better education, get their GEDs, and all sorts of things that involve that aspect of education. There's about 50 different countries that are actually at LARA, and they have people there that are helping them pass these tests, learn English a little bit better, and anything else that may help them with any type of challenges, especially towards educational needs. So we created a Thrill of Thrift fashion show, which I co-chaired with someone that's not here right now named Amy Wood with United Way. And she was awesome, so she's not here to tell me to share how awesome she is, so I'll just say it now. As you both know, right, Amy is the most awesome person ever. But so we co-chaired it because we believe that people need to learn about how to dress for certain occasions, right? So that's why it was a thrift store aspect. All the models, which happened to be one model right here, had $30 they could spend at any type of thrift store or used clothing store and dress up on a certain type of theme. And I forgot your theme, so I'll ask you in a minute. But they all dressed up, and then they actually did a fashion show to show that people can actually purchase clothing under $30 and look fabulous at it. Because a lot of times people don't have enough money to go over to Dillard's or Macy's and buy over $100 worth of clothing. So this was the best way to do it, as well as bring up the importance of Lara and also to bring money back into that nonprofit organization. So we are going to do it again this year, 2015. And I believe it's going to be April 9th. So there will be a call out for it, including more models. Hint, hint. But anyway, so that's basically in a nutshell about what it is. So Mara, you were a model.
I was a model.
So, I'm the one that went after you and begged you to be a model. So can you tell me about the experience? Because I wasn't a model. So can you tell me how it was to be a model?
Well, when Professor Margaret Sass first brought the idea, I thought it was pretty amazing. Because clothing is generally used in our society to repress women. So people are always telling women how to wear, and that's kind of a repression for women. If you don't follow that pattern, you will not be accepted. But the aspect that we were looking at is how can we teach these women to dress for less, for way less, and using these thrift stores and feel empowered actually in these situations. So when she told me that like we could teach women how to dress for a job interview for the first day of college and help them feeling that they belonged to those environments and helping their self-esteem and all of that, I felt it was gonna be a great show, and it was a great show. So as a model, I went to Goodwill and I found everything that I needed on Goodwill.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't reach $20.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got the shoes, jeans. I got a bag, like a leather bag, and a blouse, and I didn't reach $20. So I was like, yeah, that's something these people can do, and they can feel empowered, and they can feel like that they belong to this environment, and they can like dress for less than $20. They can do all that for less than $20. So it was a great idea, and I loved it. I feel that we really contribute to these women and to their empowerment in these situations.
Yeah, and you bring a really interesting perspective, which I never thought about, is that the repression aspect of it.
Oh yeah,
You have to dress a certain way to be accepted, no matter where you go, depending on the situation that you're in, right?
And really, this really repress women. If they go to a job interview and they don't dress as you're supposed to dress in a job interview,
Right.
you are not going to be accepted. You are not getting that job. So when you brought the idea, I was like, yeah, we can teach these women how to really like fulfill those requirements for these different situations, and we can teach them how to do that, not spending money that they don't have. So it was really the biggest motivation for me.
That is true, because who is going to teach them how to dress a certain way, especially if they've never been in that experience?
Exactly.
What happens if they didn't have a job interview ever? How are they supposed to know how to dress? And then when they go to the interview and they don't get the job, they don't know why. And it could be just because of the clothing, because that's what we make a decision on, right?
And if they go to the situation and they look at the other women and they see that they are going to see that they didn't get the job probably because they didn't look like this other woman. So we taught them how to look like the other people and how to be competitive in this aspect too.
Yeah, so that's a really great research project one day.
You're right.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to.
Now I have a
research.
task.
Yeah, you have an assignment. So, Ali, you were not a model, but you participated by dressing or helping dress up some of the models, right?
Yes, yes. So the motivation for me to build off of what you said, Mara, which is a very great point, is also this also has to do with my research. So another reason why it really motivated me. So I look at sustainability in fashion and the consequences on the environment and also society. So she's just kind of talked about how fashion can be so culturally influential, but also in addition to that is also the environmental consequences. So we're facing crisis in our modern society in which we have to address these issues. And actually the fashion industry, which is a $1 trillion enterprise, is very guilty of negligence in healthy and while still being creative. But these practices are just beginning. I think it's really kind of a trend, and it's kind of, everybody wants to be green. But this was one of those projects where not only are we practicing that and we're taking that into an actual sort of a platform where it helps people, but also it's educating the younger generation, which are these young designers who are aspiring to maybe one day be fashion designers, or at least just to think about it. So what I did was try to incorporate that within a workshop that was, I think, about 6 weeks. It was a group of 9 girls. They're all in high school from different levels. And in fact, one of them was so interested that she didn't go to Jefferson High School. She's from Harrison High School, but she would commute there because it was that important to her. And then I want to mention again, Luann Lamy, who was the instructor for that course, was so on board and so passionate about this. And she was great support as well. So she would kind of make the announcements throughout the high school, and I would just show up twice a week, and we would do these workshops. So I had a schedule set up. And the first thing was to educate them on the purpose behind the project, so what was the direction, and again, that was to benefit the Lara community. But also, we took on an approach that's called upcycling. So basically what you do, and that's why the thrift part is so important, is instead of just disposing a garment and it's dead, you give it a second life, is what we call it. So I actually started the program with them thinking about just a sweater, and how can you turn something that you don't want, or that belonged to your grandfather, or that simply came from a Goodwill store, and how do you transform it into giving it life and having it a second life, repurposing it. So we looked at a very simple thing, which is the scarf. So I actually wore one today, and so it's a simple traditional piece, but you can rework it and you could do things with it to give it a different aesthetic, and you're still kind of being creative with it, so it doesn't limit you in any way. So that to me was really important as well, to get the girls thinking about how can we push this forward instead of just using organic material. But there's a lot of opportunity in secondhand stores. So I actually went to Salvation Army. I purchased a group of different garments that to me looked appealing, both masculine pieces and also feminine pieces. And so I said, you do what you want with it. They chose one model, which was a representative of the high school as well, and so they designed their garment for that person. So in some cases, for example, there was only one girl that designed for a guy, but she had a dress that was made out of denim. It was a woman's, dress, but she turned it into a vest for this guy. So the opportunities are vast and broad. There was spray painting on a trench coat, on the interior of a trench coat. She opened it up and there was this beautiful design. And so how can you still promote innovation and creativity, but still doing it in a healthy practice? And so to start kind of ingraining that into fashion, I think is really important and can have larger contributions.
So what did you call it that you repurposed these clothes? You said it was
upcycling. Yeah. Upcycling, and then also, I did my undergrad in fashion design. So I was fortunate to go to an institution that was beginning to kind of be a leader in the voice of sustainability in fashion. That's the term that we always used, and we'd have different designers come in and work with us and mentor us, and that was one of the terms, and also the second life aspect. So it's just, again, giving that garment a second opportunity to have a second life.
So when you say upcycling, I've never even heard of that term, so it's kind of cool. And then you say sustainability. So I guess because of my ignorance, I thought sustainability was like not wearing fur or something in that aspect. Is there more to it, like the green aspect or anything too?
Yes, it's much more than that. Everything from something so mundane, like you don't want this sweater anymore, you throw it away. Where do you think that's going to go? And how do you think that accumulates with the rest of the clothes you throw away? How do you think it accumulates with the clothes that you throw away? And so we're building landfills and full of clothing, and I have the statistics not with me, so I can't provide those, but that's just one issue. Also, to make a pair of jeans, the amount of water that goes into it, the pesticides that are within the cotton that we wear, for example, on our sweaters, the dyes that we use, sustainability is so broad, the sweatshop. So it's also a matter of how do we kind of cut those corners and just kind of remove ourselves from those unethical practices, and how do we embrace alternative methods that have healthier consequences all across the board. So when you look at sustainability, you look at the economical aspects of it, the social and the environmental as well, and it's all kind of ingrained in, and it all influences each other in one way or another, especially in the fashion industry.
Wow, I guess I didn't think about all the things that go involved in actually designing
Yeah,
one
it's
piece
very
of clothing,
damaging.
like a Levi factory. If it could be a sweatshop or something or anything, it could be.
Or the
So-
gallons of water that's used in the dye. Like you have to rinse out the dye, right? So how much
Right.
water is wasted on just, dyeing them? But yes.
Wow. See, you guys are so important. No wonder you're a part of the Thrill Fashion Show. So I'm hoping because of what you did that we're going to do it again this year. And we're actually calling a segment like the high school segment so we can really emphasize and hopefully you said Will Jefferson was mainly with it, but maybe Harrison can be involved as well because your students inspired a lot of people that were going to Lara. They may not be of high school age, but they are ones that just maybe dropped out of high school. Some are just haven't been exposed to that high school environment and they just don't know what they can do or they just don't have the funds. Just because you're a high school student doesn't mean you have the money to buy clothing to be popular, right?
Yeah.
And I like the aspect that you mentioned the male model because we emphasize a lot on women because we really feel women need to be empowered. But there are some men out there too that don't know how to dress as well. So I think I should maybe think about that for our next fashion show about the male model aspect.
And I think because we had a lot of different models, like none of our models were skinny, none of our models were like perfect as the ones we see on TV. People could identify better with those people. And we had different ages. We had this mom with a little kid and they came together. So we showed that anyone can do that, can look good on thrift store clothing. And
No, that's true. It
Yeah.
wasn't a bunch of Victoria's Secret models.
no.
Absolutely.
It was
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Come on. That was my only opportunity to be a model.
Oh my gosh. But you were right. There was a whole variety of different people, and we had different themes. Your theme was
First day of college.
first day of college, which is great. Some people don't really dress for college because the transition from high school to college is huge.
Yes.
And how would you know how to dress unless you were already a college student or had been exposed to the campus, right? You wouldn't know.
And we had this first generation that go to college that do not have examples at home. They don't know how
Right.
to do it. And we cannot expect that these people just go on and fit in. They need some instruction. And I feel that's what we provided.
Yes, and we actually had it at Lara, the building itself, which we plan on doing again this year in our gymnasium. And the reason why we did it is, first of all, it was right after work. I think it was about 5:30. So the high school students were out of high school, so they could make it over there in time. People attending Lara or actually having classes there or using the daycare that's there as well, they were there to just go straight to the fashion show and participate. And a lot of the resale stores in Lafayette were there to inspire or show what they could afford. So they actually had models. And that would be a really good idea for high school students to actually have some models or fake models and then dress them up with some inspired clothes or something. Because we thought that even though we had a general booklet about what they should be wearing, it's still really hard to think about that in a book or just seeing it one time. I mean, it's a great example to start, but I think we actually gave them some tools to figure out how to use certain clothing on certain days. And yours was the first day of college. So there was ones like first day of work, right?
Yeah.
Like office parties, because there are certain ways that you should dress for an office party versus another party, right? There was also a couple things regarding if you're going to be going to some type of court environment or something really official that you have to dress a certain way, because there is something that we stereotype people or we put them in categories based on what they wear. And we don't even realize that we do it. So unfortunately, the people that don't know how to dress certain ways really actually have to kind of go over to the other side, because the other ones that are making the opinions and the stereotypes are not going to change overnight, obviously. Lara is a great opportunity to kind of inform these individuals about what can and cannot be worn in certain environments for them to be successful, right? And since we still have a few minutes of the show, I really want to emphasize what some of the great projects that you're doing here at Purdue. So both of you did a study abroad, which I kind of wanted to emphasize. So you did study abroad, which I thought was really neat, and you taught it, right?
Yes,
as
I
well?
taught the class.
Can you just give me a quick synopsis about that?
Yes, so the study abroad I participated in was a study abroad that emphasized race relationships in Brazil. And we may think that we do not have any issues among races in Brazil because there was no Jim Crow law kind of thing, but we do. And we still we still see all kinds of racism and prejudice in the media, how different races are not represented in the media, and that was a great opportunity for the students to, first they went to 1 week of class at Purdue, then we went to Brazil for 2 weeks to see like live examples of what we studied, and then we came back and still had 1 week to reflect on that experience. So I think it was a great opportunity for them and for me as well. I'm Brazilian and I saw Brazil in a way that I had never thought before.
That's really cool.
Yes.
And you went to the jungles.
I also went to Brazil, to Mara's homeland. But mine was a little different. So again, my research has to do with sustainability and fashion, but it's also quite interdisciplinary. So I'm actually looking at towards the anthropology department for courses that enhance my research. So this was an anthropology study abroad in Brazil, but not only Brazil, but in the Amazon, so with an indigenous community. They're called the Caiapó. So that was amazing on so many respects, and completely enhanced my perception of what I do and my role, not only as a designer, but also within society and how my practice influences. So it was really great, and there's actually going to be a show, I understand, later on regarding the study abroad with Dr. Laura Zanotti.
Zanotti was here last week.
Oh, she was here already.
With 2 students that were part of that program as well.
Fantastic.
And they did go into details regarding the program and how it worked and how they may change some things and keep some things for the next time it occurs, which I believe is going to happen again in May. Around that time. So, and they seem to be on, the 2 students that were there seem to be on board again. So I don't know if you're going to be attending again, but
I would love to, but yeah.
but I think it's really exciting. I just want to emphasize how your roles at Purdue are all over the place. Not only do they work at Purdue and they go to school at Purdue, but they give back to the community. So you cannot ask anything more from a person here that's living in Lafayette as well as working here. And so when you guys graduate, I'm going to be a very sad person. So, but anyway, so thank you for watching the show. I hope you learned a little bit about the Lara as well as the fashion show, and I'm hoping that you will sponsor as well as attend. So it's going to be April 9th. Look at the Lara website, and hopefully there'll be some details more for that later where you can give back a little bit. So thanks. Have a good day.